Ready? No, I pushed the wrong button. So I have 6 p.m. Is everybody ready?
Turn that light off. It's glaring on my forehead.
So we'll call the meeting to order, and I want to remind everybody that we are using the electronic meeting, the Zoom meeting guidelines, and that means that only one person can speak at a time, and that if you'd like to speak, I'd ask that you raise your hand or let us know that you want to speak so we can call on you, and that when we make motions or we vote, we need you to give us your name so that Madam Clerk will be able to identify who's made the motion, who's made the second, or identify your name when you vote yes, please. So with that, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United
States of America,
and to the republic
for which it
stands, one nation,
under
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Madam Clerk, can you take roll call, please?
Not mute.
Yes. Mrs. Burt?
Present.
Mrs. Fafdow?
Present.
Mrs. Anderson?
Present.
Ms. Miller?
Present.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee?
Present, yes.
Mr. Castle?
Present.
We're all here.
Thank you. Are there any additions or deletions to this evening's agenda? I don't think we have any. Are there any corrections to the minutes of the board meeting from October 19th, 2020? Any corrections? Hearing no corrections, Madam Clerk, roll call please on approving the minutes from the October 19th meeting.
Mrs. Burt?
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdow?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, I abstained because I was not in attendance. Mr. Klee?
Yes. Excuse me, yes.
Mr. Castle?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We'll move on to public comment. Is anyone wanting to address the board this evening? If so, raise your hand. I see David Layton's raising his hand. You have the floor, Mr. Layton.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. I'd like to speak about my friend and your colleague, Frank Castle. Is this the appropriate time to do that?
I was going to introduce you and have you say that right next. So if you want to speak during public comment, you're welcome to. If not, we'll close public comment and we'll move on to honoring Trustee Castle.
Perfect. I'll wait till you call on me.
Sure. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board? I'm not seeing anybody raise their hand. So now we're going to close public comment, and I don't know that you need an introduction, but I would like to introduce you. Prosecuting Attorney for Genesee County, David Layton, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to be with you. I'm sorry we can't be together in person, but God willing, we'll be back together sooner rather than later. I come before you tonight because I am told that it is my friend, longtime partner, your colleague, Frank Castle's final board meeting as a trustee for Flint Township. So if you'd permit me to say a few words to honor his service to Flint Township, which he has done so well. I don't know how many of you know this, but Frank Castle also served his country and he was honored there too. He was in the Army, but he wasn't honored as the best soldier. He was honored for being the best clerk typist at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri back in the day. And I know he's very proud of that service as well. So Frank, thank you for your service to our country as well as to the township. You know that your colleague, Mr. Castle, and my former partner is a lawyer, and he's a very fine lawyer. He graduated from the University of Michigan Law School, which is no small task in and of itself to be admitted to study there and to graduate with that most prestigious degree. But what's little known about Frank is that he was a member of what's called the Order of the Coif, which means that he graduated in the top 10% of his law school class. And that is a tremendous accomplishment and speaks to how very, very bright Mr. Castle is. He went on to pass the state bar exam. And as many of you may know, he's also a certified public accountant, which is an extraordinarily difficult exam to pass. Yet he passed both that and the state bar. So clearly, he's a very bright guy. Frank and I became partners in the law back in the 80s. I think he probably could have gone to Wall Street and hooked up with one of those big New York firms and made a ton of money. Instead, and to my benefit, he decided to take an office in our old office building on West 3rd Avenue in downtown Flint, which is now University Avenue. And we practiced there for a few years, and then we moved out to Linden Road at the corner of Linden and Lennon Road, where we practiced together for nearly 20 years, probably a little more than 20 years. We had a general practice. Frank did a lot of family law, which consists of divorce and visitation matters and support claims. He could get a little testy with his clientele from time to time. I could hear it through the door and down the hall, but he did a terrific job on their part and always had their interests first and foremost. He also did a lot of bankruptcy work on behalf of the working men and women of Genesee County and the surrounding counties who fell on hard times. And as you know, when you live in the greater Flint area, Flint Township, Genesee County, times get rough sometimes, and Chapter 7s and Chapter 13s were necessary for people to be able to continue. Frank was one of the finest Chapter 7 lawyers in all the land. He was able to use his business sense and get those debts whittled away so folks could have a fresh start. And I was always very proud of Frank when he was able to take care of the working men and women to make sure that they could have that fresh start. He had a good business mind, and doing bankruptcy and bankruptcy type litigation was a natural for him. During those years, I did more of the trial work, the personal injury cases, the criminal defense cases. There was one day when Frank came to me and said he had taken in a personal injury case on our behalf. A fellow had come in wearing one of those neck collars. And Frank thought that this might be a good case. And after I reviewed it, I angrily went to Frank's office and I said, "Why did you take this case?" And Frank said, "You can win it in trial." Well, it turned out the fellow had put the neck collar on himself. It wasn't prescribed by any physician. And as you might imagine, we did not prevail at trial in that case. One of the few times we didn't win the trial. I also remember Frank's daily calls home in the afternoon around 3 or 3:30 to Judy. And his question was, "What's for dinner?" And I always knew that if Frank was really excited about the dinner, because he'd hang up the phone and within 20 to 30 minutes later, he'd be saying, "I'm gone for the day," which was one of his favorite expressions. And the better the dinner, the earlier I heard him say, "I'm gone for the day." In 2004, I was elected prosecuting attorney, and Frank claims to this day that the only reason I ran is because I couldn't figure out any other way to get away from him. Frank, I want you to know that's not true. I could think of several other ways to get away, but that wasn't why I ran. I enjoyed being your partner for all the many years we were together. I truly believe Frank has served the township with honor, with integrity, with dignity. I know he was always prepared for the meetings. I often saw his agenda when we would visit one another at his home, at my home. I'd be in his car, I'd see his agenda, and it was always riddled with notes and questions that he wanted to bring up at the meeting. And that, to me, showed me that he took the time, made the effort to be prepared for the meetings. Now, I know, having served on that board for 12 years, we're not always going to agree on how to handle issues that come before us. That's democracy. That's the beauty of democracy. But Frank Castle, in the best interests of democracy, was always prepared to represent the good people of Flint Township to the best of his ability. And I know, Frank, you brought your quick mind to the meetings. You brought your legal and your accounting backgrounds. They served you well. They served your constituents well. And I want to just say in closing, congratulations, my friend, on a distinguished career. And Madam Supervisor, thank you for the time.
Thank you for joining us. The township has a proclamation I'd like to read for you, Frank. Although you don't have it in front of you, I am going to read it for everyone to hear. Whereas Trustee Frank Castle has upheld the integrity and honor of his office during his 13-year term, spanning from 2007 to 2020 as an elected official in and for the Charter Township of Flint. Whereas Trustee Castle served as a valuable member on the Zoning Board of Appeals, Elections Commission, Road Advisory Committee, and Fire Retirement Board. Whereas Trustee Castle has served the residents, businesses, and property owners of Flint Township with professionalism and respectfulness. Whereas Trustee Castle has shown the same professionalism and respectfulness to the staff of the Charter Township of Flint, always greeting employees with a smile and kind words. Whereas Trustee Castle brought his knowledge as a certified public accountant and attorney at law at the boardroom table, adding to the experience and expertise he demonstrated while in office. Whereas Trustee Castle began his public service career as a member of the Army Reserves. Whereas Trustee Castle has been a 43-year resident of Flint Township, making him a wealth of information concerning the history and development of the community. And whereas Trustee Castle has balanced the demands as a public servant while remaining a loving, devoted husband of 57.5 years to his wife, Judy, supportive, loving father to Robert and Teresa, and proud, doting grandfather of Lauren, Chloe, and Amelia. Whereas Trustee Castle is known for his patronage and support of the arts within his community, his love of the cinema, and reading about history, especially books devoted to the subject of Winston Churchill. Whereas the Charter Township of Flint wishes to publicly recognize the significant contributions of Trustee Castle to the Flint Township community. Now, therefore, the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Flint, on behalf of the staff and residents, does hereby issue this proclamation to honor Trustee Frank Castle and to recognize his time and dedication to the community and to the residents of the Charter Township of Flint. On this day, November 16th, 2020. Thank you, Frank, for your service. The board has pitched in and purchased an item to commemorate this time of service and to honor you. If you can, there we go. Can you see? Can you read it for us, Frank? I think Jerry has a picture of it.
Well, it says Frank Castle, Flint Township Board of Trustees, 2007 to 2020. ZBA, Elections Commission, Road Advisory Committee, Flint Fire Retirement Board. And
I hope when you look at that, every time you look at it, you remember us and all the times that we've had together.
well, I will. It's beautiful. It really is.
I know that there wasn't enough room to put on the one page. You are a card shark when it comes to bridge, and we didn't put that in the proclamation.
That's
In fact,
okay.
aren't you known nationwide in the world of bridge?
I don't know if I'm known nationwide, but I'm known in Michigan.
In Michigan?
Yes.
We also didn't mention in the proclamation the wonderful fruitcakes that you bring us every year. So we left that out too.
Well, for those fruitcakes, I have to thank Estelle Kaufman. She was a fruitcake queen.
Aficionado.
And I thank you very much. Since tonight is my last board meeting, I want to take the opportunity to thank the voters of Flint Township for their support over the last 13 years. I want to thank everybody on this board, and I wish you all well as you continue to serve Flint Township. It's been an honor to serve on this board. Thank you, David, for your kind remarks and for your taking the time out of your busy schedule to honor me. I think I saw Therese someplace. Is she there?
No.
No.
She's here, but she's
Ah.
not on the camera.
Uh,
Grace, come say hello to Frank. He's asking for you. She says she doesn't look her best, but she's coming. Just say hello.
She always looks her best. Hi, Therese. Thank you very much for coming.
Congratulations.
I want to thank Kathy Funk and the workers who came together to make a fair, safe, and secure national vote possible amid the coronavirus pandemic. Her work for the township has been outstanding, as everybody else's. Thank you.
The clock is set to the right time.
And the clock is at the right time.
Well, you still have till Friday, Frank, so we might be calling a special meeting every day.
All right, well, I hope you do. If you do, I'll attend. It's been an honor to serve on the board, it really has, and it's been not only an honor, but fun also. And I can thank you all very much. Anything else I want to say, honey? No. Thank you all. I'll be staying till the end of the meeting, and if anybody needs anything after I'm out of office, call me. I'm always available to everybody here and the residents of Flint Township. So thank you all very much. Thank you, Karen. Judy says that's it. I can't say any more.
I wanted to open up the floor if any of the trustees wanted, or anyone else, to say something at this point in time. If you'll raise your hand. Did you have something to say, Carol?
I just wanted to thank him and being open and helping me when I first became on as a trustee. I know he shared things with me and gave me his phone number if I needed help, and I really appreciate that, Frank.
You're welcome.
Lisa?
Yes, I'd also like to say thank you, Frank, for everything that you've done, for stopping by the office to check in on me and just share insights over the last 4 years. And I enjoyed being able to come to some of your lunches, so don't forget me for those lunches.
What lunches?
Who's available for lunch?
Anybody else?
I'd like to say something.
Sure,
I can't raise my hand. I want to thank Trustee Castle, first of all, for his kind words that he said about me, but also for his service on the Elections Commission. He was always a voice of reason. I've been attending the meetings for 4 years as clerk, but 4 years before that with Kim Court. So I got to know Frank quite well. during the election commission meetings then. And I just want to thank Frank too, because he was one of the first ones who reached out to me recently when my mom passed away, and he had very supportive and kind words to say to me during that hard time. So I will miss you, Frank.
I'll miss you, Kathy.
We know where you live.
Yes, you do, and I'll stop in and say hello on a regular basis.
And
But
would
not
anyone
that
else like to? Oh, I'm sorry for interrupting. Anyone else like Trustee Vert?
Hey, Frank,
Yeah, Trustee Vert, hi.
how you doing?
Okay.
Hey, I want to thank you also too over the years for the phone calls, the conversation, and certain issues would come up and that needed some extra advice. So I thank you for that. And I hope you really enjoy your travels now and you don't have to rush back to a meeting.
I will.
Okay.
Trustee Klee?
Thank you. Frank, I'll be honest with you, and David, you're going to hate this, those of you that had to listen to me at a microphone, but I just want to say, and I've got a long thing written here, to our esteemed colleague, my esteemed colleague sitting to my right for the past 4 years. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. It's been a great learning experience. To have the knowledge and the wealth of an individual sitting next to you and willing to reach over and poke your leg and get your attention, so that I would look at something and we would lean over and whisper something to each other. What an opportunity for someone like me, first timer, to lean in and observe and listen and glean from what he brings to the table. And David, you had alluded to it, of his knowledge, the wealth of knowledge that he is, and to have him still available to all of us, like he said, hey guys, don't give up that phone number. He did say we could call. Trying to clear my head and my nose. To have such an opportunity of learning and observing from him has been a great responsibility on my part. I truly appreciate all of his guidance, his friendship, and of course, the respect that he has given across the board to all 7 of us. It didn't matter who or what, but he respected all of us and himself throughout each of the meetings. Sir, you will be missed from my side. I wish you safe times, safe travels, and enjoyment, and lots of more free time away from this table. Frank, thank you so much, and I stand for you.
So can we all unmute and give, it was muted before when they clapped. Can we unmute and clap for Frank, please? There we go. All right, Frank.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, David, for being here to lead us off in honoring Frank this evening. You will be missed, Frank. You've been an integral part of our board. And as it shows in the proclamation and on the clock, you've served our community for 13 years, and we owe you a big thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. We're going to move on to reports. And the only thing I wanted to report at this time was that the governor addressed our state yesterday at 6 p.m. and we've been in contact. Her office has been in contact with us. I have an update as to what has remained open and what's to close starting Wednesday at 12:01 a.m. And the clerk, Kathy Funk, and the treasurer, Lisa Anderson, and I are working on the administration where we can keep the building open and limit the staff as much as possible, rotating shifts. So when we come up with our final decision, we will make sure all the trustees are aware. But at this point in time, because we have to take bill payments, tax collections, and there's stuff going on in the building department, we're not planning to close our doors, but to limit everyone's access and exposure. So we'll be letting the board know tomorrow before the end of the day. That's my report this evening. Madam Clerk, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, I have quite a lengthy report, so I hope everybody will bear with me. I want to thank the members of the board who reached out to me, my fellow clerks across the state of Michigan, residents, and the staff of Flint Township. Following the passing of my mother, while we kind of expected it, it's one of those things that you never really expect will happen until it does. And I especially want to thank Tracy Tucker, who went into action as soon as I reached out to her for the weekend that my mom passed. And I wasn't able to do the board packet. And Tracy went into gear like she always does. And I will be forever grateful in her help for reaching out to me in that time of need. And as far as elections, we processed 10,420 absentee ballots. That shattered every record we've ever seen. It's not even close to anything. We had, for 2 weeks solid prior to the election, we had people waiting in line for hours to get an absentee ballot, to keep from waiting in line at the polls. We've never seen the busyness that took over the last weeks leading to the election. And I want to thank Deputy Clerk Angie Tygeson and Jackie Forrest, who handled it all with accuracy, grace, and a smile. Neither of them let the pressure get to them, even after hours of registering new voters or issuing absentee ballots. There were so many compliments that I received on how they dealt with everyone. I also have to thank Tracy Tucker again for literally being an extension of me on election day. I can't be in all places at once. And Tracy has done this long enough that I know with 110% confidence that everything out in the precincts is going as it should be, thanks to her expertise. I'd also like to thank Paul Nebraski. He works the same long hours as we do, and it's quite an undertaking to set up 15 precincts in 4 different locations. And it's especially tough during a pandemic. We loaded him up with even more things that had to be delivered, the PPEs, the shields or the sneeze guards that he built. He rose to the occasion. My gratitude to Karen Barnes, Megan Delors, and Melinda Hint, and Rose Shiflett, and everyone else on the staff for their assistance. The counting board processed and tabulated the 10,420 absentee ballots. Also need special recognition. Nancy Kelly, Carol Jones, Annette Marks, Jean Herda, and Tara Provost. They waded through a sea of unending ballots in a short period of time. They also worked so well under pressure that when it was all said and done, we had an election challenger two election challengers, one who was there throughout the beginning of election day and another who came in later on, that once their duties were over at 8 p.m. and they were no longer considered challengers, they rolled up their sleeves and said, hey, we want to help too. So they worked for the next 4 or 5 hours too with the ladies. I want to thank all of the election chairs, co-chairs, and inspectors who stepped up during not only what was a historic election cycle, because the whole year we kept breaking records, but also during the very trying times of the pandemic. And that's finally the end of my report.
Well, thank you, Madam Clerk. We echo Trustee Castle's words that you conducted an election that went very well with integrity, and you got the results in a timely manner. So you were able to do what several states were not. So we move on to Madam Treasurer. Do you have a report for us this evening?
No.
All righty. We'll move on to trustees. Do we have any trustee reports this evening? Trustee Carol Fafdahl?
Just wanted to let everybody know that we did have a planning committee meeting last Thursday, and Citgo gas station came in again, and they requested an addition for a storage building, and we did approve that. And then also let everybody know, in case they're needing a flu shot, this Thursday from 2 to 6 p.m., Central Church of the Nazarene. You can come in there and get a flu shot from the pharmacist at Myers in Morrish Road. He'll be there and he'll be giving out the shots. And then I just have one question for Clerk Funk. Does she know how many voters walk-ins at the precincts was there? Just to see what the total number of voters were in our area?
I haven't looked at that number yet. The final numbers aren't in because the canvas isn't over. And I just haven't really basically had time since I've been quarantined. We've had a lot going on. So,
Kathy, do you know when to expect that they'll certify Genesee County vote?
they should be done. They should be done tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
So I'm waiting on the final numbers to become official before I say anything. I do know that it was very busy at the opening of the poll, and then it just kind of slowed down to where it was steadier throughout the day.
Okay.
I could tell you how many COVID positive voters we had, but they were coming in not into the building. I took care of all of them in their cars. But as far as the election day, I'm waiting on the final numbers to come in.
Okay. We'll get that. You'll get that answer soon, Carol. Trustee Klee?
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to our township residents. A big thank you for their support, for the support of us that are here on this board and that are going to be running, helping to run the township for the next 4 years. I want to say thank you to the support for them for the past 2 elections, both the primary and the general, to put me back on and to allow me to serve a second 4-year term as their humble servant here on the board. Thank you for their support, their trust, and I look forward to serving you as a township trustee. Thank you.
Any other trustees? No? Trustee Vert? No? Trustee Castle? Your last report?
Well, no, I just want to thank everybody for attending. And yeah, I'm unmuted. And I want to thank everybody who had nice things to say about me. And thank you for the gift. The clock, very nice. And Judy says that's it.
Thank you, Frank. So we'll move on. Chief Kevin Salter isn't with us this evening, and so we're going to hear from Lieutenant Brad Wangler.
Good evening, board. Since the last meeting on October 19th, the police department has responded to over 2,400 calls for service and also conducted over 130 traffic stops. Sadly to report, on October 21st, a 26-year-old Flint man was traveling eastbound on Miller Road riding his motorcycle. Initial investigation has shown an SUV turned from westbound Miller Road onto southbound Claude Avenue near I-75, and the motorcycle struck this vehicle. The male riding the motorcycle was sadly pronounced deceased. Drugs and/or alcohol do not appear to be a factor in this crash. And as reported by Chief Salter at the previous meeting, on October 24th and 25th, Sergeant Nemechek and Officer Chiza completed their Lock It or Lose It campaign, which was held at 4 separate locations within the township. They reported the program was a large success, and I would again like to remind residents again to lock their vehicles and to not keep any valuables inside. And lastly, PetSmart recently donated a large supply, if you've seen our social media account, of stuffed animals to our department. These stuffed animals have been placed in our patrol vehicles and will be handed out to children our officers meet while out in the field. I do not have anything for the agenda, and that is the conclusion of my report this evening.
All righty, thank you. Assistant Chief Brett Beckley, do you have a report for us this evening?
Yes, I do. Since the last board meeting on October 19th, the fire department's responded to 77 calls. 4 of which were vehicle fires and 5 structure fires. Some of the notable ones: on October 25th, we responded to a residential structure fire on Ballinger Highway. This fire started in the bathroom, and damage was contained to 2 walls in the bathroom. And this fire was caused by improper use of tools in the home. On Halloween, we responded to Value City Furniture for a dumpster fire. Upon arrival, we had 2 40-yard dumpsters on fire, and it also had caught the outside of the building on fire as well. We were able to quickly extinguish the building, and only minor damage was noted to the outside. No fire or smoke damage to the inside of the structure. On November 9th, we assisted the City of Flint Fire Department on a vacant house fire. They were tied up on 2 other house fires at the time, so they did request mutual aid. We did assist one of their engines in protecting an occupied home while a vacant building nearby was on fire. Lastly, this morning, we responded to a residential house fire off of Maple Road in Fenton. We arrived to find smoke coming from the attic. We were able to quickly extinguish a small fire inside of the garage. All damage was kept outside in the garage with no extension or smoke damage into the house. The cause of this fire is believed to be electrical. And we do have one action item on tonight's agenda, and that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Tucker, do you have a report for us this evening?
I just want to remind everybody that we do have the Economic Development Corporation meeting tomorrow on Zoom at 4:30. I did email out a packet of the update that we'll be giving there tomorrow, so I won't bore you with going through all that now. Even though it's all exciting news, it's rather lengthy, so we'll go through that tomorrow in depth at the EDC. Just a reminder that we had 2 great grand openings in the last couple of weeks. We had Culver's, and then also Value City Furniture filled the art van space. The DDA and the other the Corridor Improvement Authorities, along with the Flint Township Economic Development Department, are promoting the Discover Flint Township program, along with our community partners HAP, Wahlburgers, and Dort Financial. They started the ad campaign this past week, and so we're focusing on small businesses, shop local, buy local, Discover Flint Township. So that's what's going on right now, promotion wise. And I have, I believe, like 3 items on the agenda today.
Thank you. I don't see anybody for committee reports. I know Carol gave a report, and I don't see John Whiteside. So that's going to end our report time, and we'll move on to number 9, payment of bills. Madam Treasurer.
Sorry. I trust that board members had an opportunity to review the invoice rosters. I'd like to make a motion to pay bills in the amount of $13,512.92, and also to acknowledge payment and invoices and disbursements in the amount of $1,861,049.86 for a grand total of $1,874,562.78.
So there's a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $13,512.92. Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Any questions for Madam Treasurer? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on paying the bills in the amount of $13,512.92 and acknowledging the other payments.
Mrs. Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee?
Yes.
Mr. Castle?
Yes.
Mrs. Burt?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any correspondence or informational items?
Not for this evening, no.
Do we have the draft of the budget in the informational items?
Yes, it was in,
Okay.
it was sent to the board members separately by Controller Tackett.
Alrighty, I just wanted to address that. You have received a copy, a draft of the budget. It's not final, and I would invite all of the trustees to take a look at that and to schedule time. If you have questions, if you have any concerns, please schedule some time to meet with Beth or me about the budget. We have till the next meeting, which is December 7th. Before we are going to bring it before the board for approval. So please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. All right. So we'll move on to action items. Action item A, I'm going to hand it over to Assistant Chief Beckley.
Yes, thank you. Your fire department is in a structural transition with new leadership and new personnel. We are trying to build the foundation for current and future success. Part of this transition includes the replacement of vital positions in our rank structure. With the retirement of Assistant Fire Chief Berkeley, we have the need to fill that position. The Assistant Chief's position is vital to the success of the fire department, assisting the fire chief in supervising all full-time and on-call staff. In addition, he or she is responsible for all training and maintenance of our numerous fire engines. The Assistant Chief's position also provides command level direction and leadership for emergency incidents and oversight of the department in the absence of the chief. As we continue to move forward, positive leadership is essential in all levels of the fire department. Therefore, I'm requesting that the Township Board of Trustees take action to promote one sergeant to the rank of Assistant Fire Chief. Funding for this position is available in the 2020 and 2021 budgets.
So we need a motion to authorize the Township Supervisor to formally request the Flint Township Civil Service Commission to provide the name of one eligible candidate for promotion to Assistant Fire Chief.
Clee would
Anderson
move.
makes a motion to
Clee would move.
authorize the Township Supervisor to formally request the Flint Township Civil Service Commission to provide the name of one eligible candidate for promotion to Assistant Fire Chief.
And so Clee, would you like to second?
Yes, ma'am. I would say Clee would second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or any questions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the motion to authorize the supervisor to ask civil service for the name of an eligible candidate for Flint Township Assistant Fire Chief.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes, Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdal,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you very
So,
much.
Assistant Chief Beckley, we'll expect to see that name at our next board meeting, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And so serving as interim fire chief, we're gonna have you stay in the position until the board approves the name on December 7th. So you'll serve until December 7th, and we will have a new assistant fire chief on December 8th. Is that everyone's understanding? That's my understanding. Does that make sense to you, Assistant Chief
Yes.
Beckley?
Yes, it does. Yep.
So we were in closed session earlier, and I'm not going to talk about what we were talking about in closed session, but we've been advised by our attorney to Chief Salter and I, who's chief is acting as interim fire chief. We are going to go back and speak with civil service on moving forward for the position of fire chief. But in the meantime, it was important. Our attorney felt advised that we mentioned to the board that Kevin Salter as interim fire chief will serve until we do have the name of someone to bring to the board for the position of chief. And hopefully we have that within the next month to 6 weeks. And that's our goal, and that's what we're working toward. And we will do that as quickly as possible. Is that the understanding of the entire board? Are we on the same page?
Yes.
Yes? Great. We'll move on to
Yes.
action item B is 2020 winter tax roll special assessment certification. You have the information before you. And I'm just going to read it because we never do. This is to certify the delinquent amounts. It's a resolution approving the special assessment certification to the winter tax roll. Whereas the Charter Township of Flint Board of Trustees must approve the certification of any and all assessments to the 2020 winter tax roll. And whereas in accordance with the laws of the state of Michigan and the ordinances of the Charter Township of Flint, assessments and liens are to be certified to the 2020 winter tax roll. Now therefore be it resolved that the following assessments and liens, the total amounts of which are listed below, shall be certified to the 2020 winter tax roll. The streetlight assessment is in the amount of $364,389.16. The garbage assessment is in the amount of $1,374,385. Delinquent sewer and water usage is $217,767.02. Delinquent sewer tap-ins is $2,972.74. Delinquent water tap-in is $2,544.32. Property maintenance fees in the amount of $52,979.85. Non-sufficient fund fees in the amount of $840. And road District 102 assessment for Dyewood. It's for road assessment in the amount of $965.80 for a total amount to be certified to the tax roll in the amount of $2,016,843.89. A motion is in order to move forward with certification.
Anderson moves that we move forward with the certification of the 2020 winter tax roll special assessment certification in the amount of $2,016,843.89.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
So we have a motion and support to certify the assessments and liens. Any further questions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please to approve the motion to certify the special assessment and liens to the 2020 winter tax roll.
I just want to double check. It was Mrs. Fafdal who seconded the motion, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdal,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carries, and I'll let Stanley the Pug know that his vote does not count.
Okay. So our next action item is an interlocal agreement for a designated assessor. This is mandated by the State of Michigan Tax Commission. This is a Genesee County issue. The County Board of Commissioners and Flint Township will enter into an agreement to hire a designated assessor. And what happens is if we fail to do our duty as a unit through our assessing department, we are audited. The state audits all the different units in the state. And if you fail the audit, they give you a few opportunities to correct anywhere where you fall short of the audit. And if you don't, they're not fooling around. They're going to have us have to pay for a designated assessor for Genesee County. And so I hope you had the time to read the letter from Mrs. Grzinka in the assessment department, but essentially it lays out the stipulation of having the designated assessor. And she's gonna be set at a specific fee for an hourly fee. And the interlocal agreement names Stacy Cake, I think that's how you say her last name, as the Genesee County designated assessor. And there's more information attached. The resolution is attached. So we need a motion in order to approve the interlocal agreement.
Clee would move, bless you, Frank.
Thank you.
Clee would move that we accept the request from, in the letter from Melissa Grzinka to us as the Board of Trustees to appoint and access, I have for us, bless you again,
Thank you.
Mrs. Stacy Cake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Approving the
Is that all right?
interlocal agreement. Does that sound good?
Yes, correct.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Alrighty, are there any questions?
We have this every year?
No, this is the first time. They've not done this before, but this is basically the designated assessor standby. And if the state tax commission decides that we are not in compliance in our assessment department, she'll be assigned to help us get into compliance. And if we have our assessment department doing their job, we will never see her.
Right. Right.
Any other questions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on approval of the resolution for the interlocal agreement for the designated assessor, Stacy Cape.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle, Mr. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Safdal,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. So now we move on to action item D. Are you going to present that, Tracy?
Yes, this is Z Contractors is doing a pump station for the city of Flint. They're working on for the sanitary sewer main and a new structure on Flushing Road. Basically, they're relining the existing sanitary sewer main, so they're not actually trenching. But because they're working in the road right of way, they did have to get a permit from the road commission, which was in your packet. It has been approved and authorized by the road commission. However, in our utility ordinance, it is required that the township board give consent as well. They're trying to get this started before the weather gets too bad. So that's why this came to us so quickly.
Okay. So you're asking for us to approve the easement, correct?
Yeah, just to approve the permit to work in the right of way. Yes.
Okay. A motion's in order to do so. Would anyone like to make that motion?
We would move that we accept from Tracy Tucker, our Economic Enhancement Director, the request for the application to work in the right of way on Flushing Road just west of Mill.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Did you get that, Kathy?
Yes.
Any questions? Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Clee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Safdal,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Action item E is Mrs. Tucker.
Yes, Linden Creek Parkway, this is for the loan request. Linden Creek Parkway project is actually looks completed. They have some minor things that they're still finalizing, I believe. The Genesee County Road Commission has billed the township for the 50% deposit of $182,000. We've investigated with the treasurer and the supervisor and myself. We've investigated bonding and loans from banking institutions. Both would require fees paid for counsel and interest rates of approximately 3 to 4%. Currently, the sewer and water fund is at $11,389,415.58. The fund has almost 1.6 million in CDs that are receiving 0.5% or less in interest income on investments. So we were looking at the township board we are hoping that the township board would consider borrowing from the sewer and water fund with a competitive interest rate. This would negate the fees for council and would create an investment income for the sewer and water fund above any current rates. Deputy Controller McIntyre prepared a loan fee schedule that you should have received. And also there was a copy of the last treasurer's report on the state of the funds in the sewer and water fund.
So is that everything from you, Tracy?
Yeah, I would also remind everyone that this is also to be paid through special assessment district from the owners within the park, and only 25% of that loan is actually will be coming from general fund to be paid back to sewer and water.
No, road millage fund.
Okay, road millage fund.
It won't
Sorry.
come from the general fund.
Okay, so through the road millage fund.
Yeah. So I hope everybody's had, I don't know if everybody's had a chance to go over there and look at it. They did an excellent job. It looks really good. It's amazing the difference between what it looked like before and the struggle it was for the road commission to maintain it to what it looks like now. It makes a difference of night and day. And so as has been explained, a motion would be in order to move forward in borrowing that amount from the sewer and water fund.
Funk move that we proceed with borrowing the necessary funds for Linden Creek Parkway from the sewer and water department, from the sewer and water fund. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Is there a second to the motion?
We would support that.
Are there any questions or discussion on that? This is going to be, did you give a total amount, Tracy?
For the
total to borrow?
The total to borrow is $364,000.
I didn't know if you had mentioned that.
No, it's in there, and it was in the loan documents that Kevin had forwarded over. Also to note that we'll only be taking the money out as we need it. So then the payments would start back and the interest would start at those times.
So the 50% payment that's due right now to the road commission would be $182,000.
Correct.
So we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Burt,
Yes.
Mrs. Fapdow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Action item F, Mrs. Tucker.
So this is the Bristol Road CIA projected budget for 2021. As you all know, the CIA creates a draft that they approve and recommend to the township board for approval. And then once the township board approves, then it would come back to them for adoption. They are anticipating $71,642 in revenues, and we're anticipating $75,899 in cash reserves. And then they're looking at project expenditures next year of $46,187, with operating cost of $20,640, loan repayment of $4,019. And as you see, we are actually going to be in the black next year. So we'll actually start building up funds to do larger projects starting next year. So what I am looking for from the board at this time would be approval of the budget as presented so that we can take it back to the Bristol Road Corridor Improvement Authority to adopt in December.
So a motion is in order to move forward?
Funk moves that we approve the Bristol Road 2021 CIA budget to go back to them in December.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Any questions for Mrs. Tucker? Hearing none,
No,
Madam. Sorry.
I'd just like to thank Tracy for all of her hard work in the last couple of years that we're already seeing the funds going into the black for next year. So this is very exciting. And I know she's worked really hard on it for the past few years. So thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? No. Madam Clerk, roll call please on approving the 2021 Bristol Road CIA budget.
Mrs. Vert,
No.
Mrs. Factow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Action item G is the purchase of BSNA software in the water department. You have the estimate in front of you from Steve Rennell, and it includes the regular software for the water department. It also includes a purchase of cash receipting for any department that will bring in cash to the township, and then general ledger also. So the purchases of the cash receipting software is $9,635, and the purchase of the general ledger component is $5,675. And I would recommend that the water department pays for its software, and of those two components, the water department pays 70%, the tax department would pay 25%, which would be $3,827, and I didn't work out 5% for the building department. There's a years of maintenance, so that comes with the purchase, and so the annual maintenance will start up in 2022, and I'd also recommend that of the annual maintenance, that the tax department pay 25% of those two components, and the building department pay 5% of those two components. So you have the estimate in front of you, and the total amount for the software is $105,510. That's for all the software. And there is a fee for travel, $1,520. And all three software programs require a yearly maintenance fee. But as I said, it doesn't start till 2022, where the water department will pay 70%, the tax department pay 25%, and the building department pay 5%. In purchasing this was not budgeted at the beginning of the year, and an amendment would be in order for the water department to pay for the BSNA software, and then 70% of the cash receipting component and the general ledger component. And an amendment would be needed in the general fund for the tax department of 25% and the building department of 5%. And a motion would be in order to move forward.
Anderson would make a motion that we move forward with the new software and the other agreements in the amount of $105,510 plus the additional fees that were outlined.
Is there a second to the motion?
Cleve would support.
And your hand's up. Do you have a question or are you just supporting?
No, I said Cleve would support.
Thank you.
I thought I was unmuted. I'm sorry.
You were.
Okay.
I didn't know if you had a question too.
No, I'm just supporting it at this point. Then we can ask for questions.
Does anyone have a question or any discussion?
I just would like to say we use the BSNA in several of the departments, and what this would do is to integrate everything. So everything would be able to talk. Right now, we're doing a lot of things manually between the departments. So this would be a good segue for us to be able to pull everything together from the department, the sewer and water, taxes, building. I think it's a good move in order to be able to streamline our practices here.
Agree. Did you have a question, Trustee Clee? Or was that you, Kathy?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Just for the minutes, so it'll be reflected correctly. Can you give me the breakdown between the 75, 20, and the 5 that will be going into the budget amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I send it to you by email?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be tonight, just before we do the minute.
I didn't know if you wanted it by written down or if you wanted me to state it verbally tonight.
No, I've got it 75, 20, and 5 with 75 to sewer and water, 20 and 5% broken out between tax and building from the general fund.
Well, I had 70, 25, and 5.
Oh, I'm sorry, 70, 20. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
No, we're missing a 5. So it's got to be 75, 20.
No, that was right. 70, 25, and 5.
Yeah.
Okay. I wrote it down incorrectly. Okay. All right. We're all on the same page now.
Thank you. Have a question, Trustee Clee?
I just, you had mentioned a budget amendment and a financial swap and switch. I'm sure being that the majority of this is coming sewer and water, we've got, not to the offense of wanting to spend money, but we have money in the sewer and water to handle this. And I think this is a great opportunity for us to bring back in-house that billing that goes downtown. And I think this is a good move on your part, working with yourself and Miss Anderson and Miss Funk in-house full-time to make sure this kind of stuff works. Sorry about that. I try to keep that light off my forehead, blinding you guys. And I just spun it. But yeah, I think this is a good move on it. So thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the purchase of the BSNA software for the sewer and water department.
Mrs. Factel.
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Ms. Miller.
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Cleave.
Yes.
Mr. Castle.
Yes.
Mrs. Burt.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Action item H, we have to set a public hearing for the 2022-2024 Community Development Block Grant Funds. So a motion would be in order to set that for December 7th for a public hearing.
I'll make a motion that we set a public hearing for December the 7th, 2020 for 2022 through 2024 Community Development Block Grant CDBG funds.
Is there a second to the motion?
Funk will second.
Is there any further discussion or questions? I guess really it is what it is. Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
Ms. Miller.
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Cleave.
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes. Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdow,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Action item I is to set the public hearing for the 2021 appropriations resolution, our budget. So we can set that tonight for December 7th, and we'll hold the public hearing, and then we will look at approving and adopting our budget for 2021 at our next meeting. Would anybody like to make the motion to set the public hearing for December 7th?
Funk will move that we set the meeting for the 2021 budget, the public hearing for December 7th at 6 p.m.
We would support that.
All righty. And if there's no further discussion on that, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Ms. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Funk, yes. Mr. Klee,
Yes.
Mr. Castle,
Yes.
Mrs. Vert,
Yes.
Mrs. Fafdow,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Number 12, are there any announcements, Madam Clerk?
Just our next board meeting will be December 7th. Somebody told me that it said July, but it's actually December. So we'll see each other in a couple of weeks, not in several months.
And that's funny. And as we finalize what's going to be happening in the administration building, after discussion with Treasurer Anderson and Clerk Funk and myself, we'll let the other 4 trustees know how we're moving forward on scheduling. But again, we will not be, we'll be keeping the doors open for business, even though the governor has ordered a mandated shutdown in some areas. We're going to do our best to serve the residents following her mandate. So action item, it's number 13 is last. I wanted to thank everybody, especially the clerk's department. It was a very busy election season, given the fact that we had to deal with all the restrictions and requirements of the COVID with face masks and distancing and trying to keep all of the voters safe. And with the unfortunate loss of your mother, and then getting out the board packets last meeting and this meeting, there's just been a lot of work to do, and everyone has pulled together, and I appreciate the hard work. And I just ask that we keep it up. We've got 2 more meetings to get us through 2020, and hopefully we ring in a new year, 2021, and it's a lot better than this one. So if there's no further business and without objection, we'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
All right.
Good night.